Zero time for that. Ellen in Michigan, thanks for waiting. You're on with Don and Matt.
Hi, Don. Hi, Matt. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you?
Exhausted.
Yeah. I kind of agree with Tasha, your caller that you just hung up with, because, in that you guys look great today.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm glad to hear you're feeling better.
Poor Matt looks like he's death wormed over if you get up close to him.
You're going to make me rethink everything. And it's a good time to point this out because, first of all, yes, I've been in bed sick for 5 days, and I know that I don't look good. So, but it's weird because in the 14-plus years that I've done the show, I don't remember the last time that the guys on the show receive compliments on their looks, and yet the women on the show get it nonstop in an obnoxious sense.
Yeah,
like somebody wrote in recently to say that we needed to not have these mics because it was blocking their view. And I was like,
goodness.
Blocking your view of what? And he tried to double down with like, well, people talk with their hands and I can't always see it. And I'm like, just say fucking cleavage. At least be honest. If you're gonna be shitty to women, you should at least be able to be honest that you're being shitty to women. Anyway, I apologize, Ellen. Thanks for calling. Thank you for saying we look nice.
Totally fine. I totally agree with that. I mean, if they don't have the balls to admit it, maybe I can lend them mine.
Yeah.
There you go.
I wanted to call you because I've been wanting to call you for a few weeks, and I'm having kind of a problem here. I'm an atheist, lifelong. I've been married to the same man for 34 years, and he's Southern Baptist, born-again Christian. Mm-hmm. We don't discuss religion that much because within less than 3 minutes, it will blow up into something else.
Yeah.
Even though we try to say at the beginning, okay, here's something silly like, okay, here's a safe word. If we feel like we're getting a little too frustrated, whatever, we just kind of.
Well, I admire your perseverance.
A little while, and it's been work, I'll tell you. And on the 29th, my mom passed away.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
And he's been nothing. Thank you. He's been nothing but a rock of support. In planning her memorial, I talked to her pastor, and my mom was Christian, and went to her church, and we set up a memorial service. Now, during this time, the pastor's asking me questions about, her favorite scripture, favorite hymns, things like that, where I would want things placed in the church, flowers and the, pictures, things like that. And I said, well, I don't know the protocol. I don't really know how this works. She said something about church, and I said, well, I don't go to church. I'm an atheist, so I really don't know exactly how this goes. But, I want to do this for my mom. And, when you tell somebody that, many times they give you that look like you're from another planet.
Yep.
And she said, I would have never known that about you.
Okay.
And I felt smacked in the face. What am I supposed to look like?
Well, it may be that all of the people this person knows are believers, and it may be that you've broadened their horizons a little bit. So
it's also good to get that realization in people that you can't tell by looking at somebody what religion they are.
Yeah.
I mean, so there are exceptions.
Don't take that personally.
If they're wearing a cross necklace, they might
wearing it on their sleeves
adhere to some version of Christianity. It's funny how many of those I'll see in porn. As if, people want
going door to door,
play it up as if only the godless are watching porn, and yet, you'll see porn stars with tattoos of a cross or a cross necklace or crucifix or, whatever else.
You're off on a tangent.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's true, though. I have never seen people more interested in other people's sex lives besides the religious and, the GOP, which basically is the same thing. Here's, my question really for you is, how can what tools can I use to connect more with my husband so we can have these types of discussions, and including like how it relates to my mom, like during the memorial service, as things were said, like, we'll see her again in heaven, stuff like that. Well, that would have to mean, and I read between the lines, and then I piss myself off by thinking, okay, what she's saying is, you can't see your mom again unless you're saved and go to heaven. And that's how I take what she said. But I'm sure that's not exactly how she was meaning it, but you see what I mean? That's how I take it.
Matt's looking at me because I had a relationship for many years where my partner was religious, and I would suggest that you focus on the values that you share. With my late husband and I, we believed a lot of the same things, even though, we were both outraged, for example, at the child molestation in the Catholic Church, even though he was Catholic, right? So we certainly had that much in common, and we might disagree on, what to do about it or that sort of thing, but at least we had the same values, and so I'm certain that if you've been in a relationship with a man that you clearly love very much, you have a lot in common with him as far as values. And I would just suggest focusing on those and stick with those, and don't worry too much about the expression and such. I think that for a lot of folks, religion and their beliefs and such, especially about the afterlife, has to do a lot with fear and maybe wishful thinking that they want to see their family again and these sorts of things. And you can empathize.
And it's comforting.
You can empathize with the desire for that, right? Even if you don't think it's realistic, it may be a bit of a childish sort of belief that might actually happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, I know that when I first sort of started in being an atheist and sort of making that part of my identity, it was kind of a big thing to me, and it was sort of disproportionately important. It was the new toy, and I may have alienated some folks at that time with, being a little too strident or whatever. And I would suggest, just laying low, taking it easy, and focus on the things you have in common.
When it comes to things like funerals.
I'm sorry, when it comes to things like what?
Like funerals.
Okay.
So first of all, there's not, depending on what your mom's religious views were, I don't know that there is all that much I don't know that there is all that much in the way of protocol for flowers and other stuff like that. But funerals are for the people who are still here.
Ultimately, yeah.
Now, religions portray this in a different way because they kind of make it about the departed and, referring to them in those kinds of words and talking about going on to meet them. For me, it's like if I go to somebody's house and they are going to pray, I stand there respectfully and quietly in their house and let them do whatever they're going to do. And similarly, when I was at my grandmother's funeral a couple of months ago, I just visited with family, and I didn't care about, the religious stuff. But this might be an opportune time for you to talk to your husband, if you haven't already, to talk about what sorts of things you would like at your funeral if you were to die first, what sorts of things he would like at his funeral if he were to die first, so that you guys know that you're going to take the time to be respectful of each other's wishes in that arena. And for me, it's really easy. I don't give a shit what they do with my body when I'm dead. Part it up, piece it out, give whatever is functional or useful to somebody else. And, grind it up, burn it up, toss it out somewhere. I don't care. It will mean nothing to me. But it will mean something to other people. And so if the people who care about me decide to throw a big party or whatever, I'm good with that because I won't be around to complain or notice. But having that conversation, I remember a debate once where somebody had asked, why do we respect the wishes of the dead under an atheist type of mentality? They're not here anymore. And we can't possibly do any harm to them. They're dead under the atheist model. There's no afterlife. The answer is that we respect people's wishes about what to do with their remains because it affects them while they're alive. Because if you live in a society where you know that no matter what you want to happen to your body, it's going to be, pieced up and pieced out and parted out to the highest bidder or whatever else, that changes the way you live your life and how comfortable you are with your life. But if you get to live your whole life knowing that what you want to happen to your body is almost certainly going to happen, that fundamentally changes the quality of your life while you're living it. So we respect the rights of the departed because they were once alive. And
I would suggest that this might be a great exercise for you and your husband to do because you're both going to be in a situation of honoring the other's wishes and those wishes may not be something that you want. Right. And so you actually have to explore what you want and these sorts of things and sort of promise each other that you're going to do right. And that might be a good bonding experience.
And you dealt with that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I know a lot of other people who have as well.
That must have been difficult for you to go through.
Well, yeah, I ended up planning with the help of my late husband's mother a religious funeral, which made me cringe a lot of the time.
Yeah.
but
I was going through that too.
It's the things we do for the people we love.
Yeah, I felt good at the end that it's like that's what he wanted and that's what he got. He got a good send off.
And I was lucky enough to make it out there to attend. And once again, I'm not bothered by a religious service for that because I recognize that these are people I care about and we're respecting their wishes.
Yeah.
And it was...
Right. And like you said, Matt, when, my mom would come over for any type of activity, whether it be reunion, just a weekend dinner, whatever, her and, her husband would come over and they, would want to pray and they'd want to hold hands and stuff. And fine, go right ahead because it made her feel good. And she did that quite often. And it didn't bother me because it made her feel good. I did not participate in it. I held her hand.
Yeah.
I did not pray or anything like that. And she knew that I wasn't because she knew exactly how I felt.
And that's one of the things
comfortable with her doing that, and she was comfortable with me, so...
That's one of the things to point out to people is that you have to set your own boundaries. So when I'm at somebody else's house and they pray, it's their house.
Yep.
If we're at my house, there's not a prayer. However, if my parents come over to my house and they sit down at the table and they want to pray before they eat, I'm not going to say, whoa.
Yeah.
There's no praying in my house. Take your ass out to the driveway to ask for special treatment for your food. But I would never do that.
Right.
But if they tried to lead everybody in my house in prayer, I would stop that. It's like, no, you're welcome to pray. You can pray privately.
Yeah, we get a lot of different calls, and holy moly, some people have no boundaries and they get walked all over all the time. It doesn't sound like that's your case.
Yeah. You guys been together for 34 years, and I'm sure you've had lots of these conversations. But if you haven't touched on that one, it might be a good time to do that. And I'm in complete agreement with Don. Focus on the values that you share and the things that you care about. I couldn't do it. I have friends, not just Don. I have other friends who were in relationships with people who are religious. I'm not exactly sure where my boundaries are, but I can't imagine myself being in a serious long-term relationship with somebody whose views on religion are dramatically different from mine, maybe marginally different. But so
it's very difficult.
Yeah, I've been there.
You're doing something right.
But I appreciate the activity you guys were talking about because it does sound like that would be a very good thing to get us to bond over it and at least get a conversation started. So I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to say that I do really appreciate your show. I love listening to it. I appreciate your audience. And I just recently in the last month joined a group in the Detroit Atheist Meetup group, and the first meeting I will be going to will be on the 17th. So
awesome.
I didn't even know there were groups around here. So
tell them I said hi because I think I know several of the people who might be at that group.
Okay.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Good for you for reaching out for community.
Thanks, Alan.
All right. You're doing all the right